also that I can actually benefit out of it. So thanks so much for this guy who asked this. He had asked this question on that tax group, no, Saket wala, or it was nice actually. I also benefited out of it and probably would gain a few lakhs here and there by adjusting. I had known about it, but that's what happens. Sometimes you don't remember it in your own case when it is required to be applied. And there are a lot of things which are actually happening on this uh, income tax front and capital gains because things keep changing so fast. You don't even come to know.
So,
ऐसा
sir,
होता है matter. So when are you leaving for ship? Or are you already on ship?
I am on SIP, sir. I am on SIP now. I joined the SIP. I am in Australia, so internet is good, but
Oh, good.
yeah, so I thought I should join CPC also.
All right. Right. So about that point of yours, no, about the will, I think I had already pointed out that the will should rather be drawn between the husband and wife first,
Yeah,
because I did have a discussion with some people before, and they thought that doing just one part of it. This is I'm talking about the shore people. So this thing is not very clear to them also that when they should do or not, and for what lot of reasons, these things get left out. So that time I told them I helped one of them draw a will last week, and then that's how it worked out.
yeah, I am also thinking to make a will after a sign off, sir. But now I think I should concentrate on
नहीं
my.
नहीं नहीं हाँ नहीं नहीं concentrate ये भी but there's a shift maybe you get a little free time now and then
Yes,
you can always pen out something. One can be a little more eloquent and pen out generally that okay this is the way I will prepare it and you can always
no, I
first try
will
to write
take
it
a
by
draft
hand because
copy. I
I
will
have
take.
realized.
I'll take a
Hmm,
draft copy from you when I will make it. Then I miss so that I will have some idea that what all I think I can include in
पहले बनाओ लिखो पेपर में
it. Yes.
what you think a will should be. Because one of the best wills that I have seen is when a person, after talking with me, like I said, you try to make it, and he did a very wonderful job. He was from Bombay only,
Yes.
and he wanted to write in Marathi, but I said that would be difficult for me to understand. So you write in Marathi, and then let's discuss it in English. So it was a very good thing. Or it always starts with that I am so and so. मेरा like let's call it in हिंदी कि मेरा नाम ये है और मैं अपने आज इस तारीख में अपनी वसीयत बनाना चाहता हूँ जिससे मेरे जाने के बाद मेरे ऊपर जो आज आश्रित हैं उन्हें किसी तरह की कोई असुविधा न हो। आज की तिथि में मैं बिल्कुल होश हवास में हूँ, मेरा मानसिक संतुलन बिल्कुल ठीक है और मेरी जो चल अचल संपत्ति है वो इस तरह से है और उसमें आप जो है पहले अपना बैंक अकाउंट दे देंगे। एफडीज देने की इसलिए जरूरत होती भी है बट यू कैन डू जस्ट डू इट रिटर्न राइट इट दैट एफडीज कनेक्टेड विद द अबव बैंक अकाउंट्स तो उसमें सब कवर हो जाता है क्योंकि एफडीज तो चेंज होती रहती है ना यू कीप लिक्विडेटिंग देम समटाइम यू डोंट आई मीन दे कीप मैच्योरिंग सो दैट डजंट तो बैंक अकाउंट्स हो गए देन अपने पॉलिसीज हो जाती हैं टर्म प्लान हो जाते हैं या नॉर्मल किसी ने अगर ली हुई है एंडोमेंट पॉलिसीज वो हो जाती हैं तो लाइक दैट थिंग्स कीप हैपनिंग
अच्छा सर एक डाउट है
एंड
इसमें कि suppose I have made a will and but now everything is digital, so suppose I'm not there, then people can withdraw the money whatever they want, means say, then in that case there are the two options are there that first is there that nobody will care about the will if somebody means take out all the money, and second thing is that if somebody can take out the money then there is no requirement of the will because everything is digital, they can withdraw the money, no, you need password and user ID and password and you can withdraw.
सी जब तक मैं हूँ चाहे मैं शिप में हूँ और आई एम ऑन शोर आई मीन लाइक आई एम राइट नाउ so as long as I am there if somebody is withdrawing any money from my account let it be my wife or my children then they are it is understood that they are doing it by my concurrence ये अज्यूम किया जाता है कि मैंने कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया तो सब कुछ ठीक ठाक ही चल रहा है. इज दैट करेक्ट? बट मोमेंट आई हैव पास्ड अवे and there is a will, suppose or there is no will, and then somebody tries to do it, then it is called illegal. Then that matter becomes illegal because from that date a lot of things have to come into perspective, and that is the death certificate and succession certificate. If there is no clear heir, then there is a succession certificate also which will be required. You get
But
the point?
if somebody does so, means suppose somebody suppose tomorrow now I don't have a will. So tomorrow if I am
Mm-hmm.
not there and my password and everything I have given to my wife. So if
Mm-hmm.
she withdraws all the money and means say
Yes,
mutual fund and all, she withdraw everything. So now nothing on my name. So that is,
correct.
so that way also.
Then there is nobody coming to object on it. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as nobody is coming to object on it, it's fine. But let's take a hypothetical scenario that I have made a will also, and about which I have or I have not told my wife, and I have given away my property to somebody else. Let's say
Yeah.
such a situation exists. होती तो नहीं है, रेयर होगी. हम लोगों के आजकल वैसे भी there are one or two children only, and mostly everything should go to wife at our age. But let's just imagine that there is a situation where this doesn't happen like this. So in that particular way, if somebody gets up tomorrow and he says that his money was withdrawn illegally, suppose later on another brother he withdraws the money and the wife says that it was done illegally. It is possible, you know. There are situations where your my brother can, because of the relationship, maybe he had a past access to my password or he had access to my ATM card or something, and he withdraws, and it goes illegal. But if there was no will, so and nobody has objected to it afterwards also, then obviously no, there is nothing going to happen on that front.
But a will be made on stamp paper of 500 rupees. Stamp paper we have to make.
No, no. A will in India can be made without any registration. It is good if you
Registered
make that will, if you register that will, that is a separate matter. But a will can be made on a plain, simple
paper.
white paper or lined paper, whichever paper you want. It can be made on any kind of paper. What is important is that your signature should be authenticated, that who is a person. So that is why I always say that you can always support that will by reading it out in front of a camera and recording it and put it in, like you do the recording for our CPC. So you can do that recording and you can keep it along with the will. So that is a very good proof. Of course, somebody might object and it might go for forensic this thing also, but then I don't have to worry about that because I'm actually not there. But I should not have any problems otherwise. What is also important in these cases is, see, we have to take it point by point. I was actually thinking about this to involve my daughter who was here for some time, but there was no time. So I'll do this thing will when I'm sure that she can attend the CPC because she comes across these disputes of will quite often in her profession, in her job as a police person. So in this particular case, especially the cash is not really, it doesn't matter unless it is a very large amount and nobody objects to that because nobody comes to know how much it is. It is largely the immovable property which is always the point of debate or whatever it is. इसी के ऊपर सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं तो इसके लिए there are two ways. One is always buy the thing with your wife in
second.
either a survivor mode or joint mode. So when suppose I am not there, my wife can has a complete access to it. So that is one very important thing. And second is like the question then remains of bullion or the jewelry part. That's the maximum thing which happens. So that is not an issue. If you have already mentioned the nominee as your for your life insurance policies, then they will be always be complied with. They will be adhered to. Obviously, they will be adhered to. So that should not create any problems for you anytime. But at least to start with, the will should be there. And then at a certain age, let's say call it 50 or something, then when because by that time, by the age of 50, mostly we always make the purchases of the real estate assets that we need, and our financial position is more or less cemented and fixed. After this, I have seen there's not much of a change which happens. At that point, you can go and register it. My father, in fact, registered it at a very advanced age, at about, I think, 78, 79 or something. Yes, Manish.
So, sir, how to register it? I have to make it on a stamp paper, and to the lawyer I have to make it.
The same will, you will have to get a lawyer whom you can trust, because this lawyer will be responsible for probating it,
Yeah.
and also he will defend the will in case he will defend this will in case it is challenged by somebody. So in that case, he will come and say, "Hello, Shiv." He will come and say that yes, I have this will was made by me, and the person, because after all, that's what the authority of a lawyer is. Otherwise, there was no purpose of having a lawyer.
Yeah.
Is that the court of law recognizes a lawyer, and he's considered to be part of the judicial system. So he will be believed if he has been registering it. So he will help you type it out. He will help you put out few words, but you should be sure that those words don't change the essence of the will. And he should this lawyer should also be trustworthy in the sense that he should not reveal it to any other person outside your domain, right? So all those things are there, and once you have written out this will on your own, or delivered it to your lawyer, and he has got it typed out, he will simply go to the sub registrar's court. It's a sub registrar office where it is registered. It is not a court. Inside the court, there may be office. So it's same. You can register a power of attorney. You can register anything, but the will is also registered in that particular way, and you will need two witnesses also. And since you will be making this will cross with your wife, like she will be making it in your favor, so obviously she should not be the witness, right? And as I told you before, also that it is good to have medical certificate from your doctor, which can be just attached to this will. If you are making it and not registering it, till that time you can take a certificate from him or her as a doctor, and you can stick it at the back of the will. That serves good enough. A common belief so far was that a registered will cannot be challenged, but it can very well be challenged.
So, sub register
So it was because of
he will stamp it.
no, it's not stamped like that. It's drawn out on a paper, on a stamp paper. You can make it 50, 100 rupees, doesn't matter. And it is kept in the court for some time, and it is given a number and everything. Then it is called registered.
Okay.
Right? Yep. Anything else from you, gentlemen?
And sir, that point also, can you please elaborate that how that capital gain from the mutual fund and stocks can be used for this? Can we can save the tax by buying some property?
Yes. On the face of it, there is a very very simple definition about this, that the long-term capital gains of your sale of um, gold ETFs, shares, mutual fund, equity only. Any capital gain which is made from that can be adjusted against the sale or construction of a residential property. This is what we have understood from this article so far. Need to have a very elaborate discussion with the CA, if this and if that types. Like, when can the property be started to be made, and what are the documents that may be required for it? Because in my particular case, it is going to be very beneficial, because I am not really completely in on a agreement with the builder. I am giving out individual checks to individual suppliers and all that, even though the one builder is making. So in this particular case, it helps a lot, because when you come in agreement with some builder, as you know, 18% GST is charged on the apartments, right?
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I right? So 18% GST hota hai. Whereas the capital gains that you are paying is about
12%.
uh, no, it's 12.5 plus your cess and everything. So it comes to about 14.1, 14.2%. So you can join both of them and see. So to circumvent this, obviously the builder always tells you, they give me 50% black and 50% this, which becomes a little difficult to manage, especially if you're taking a home loan. So in this particular case, what happens is that uh, you have to strike a balance between what you sell. Capital gain has to be paid. That is done. But now, how much amount can you actually transfer to him otherwise of that? Because only on that amount which you are going to transfer or pay to different entities in building of this house can you claim the offsetting against the capital gains. You cannot pay cash and say I have done this, but if you are paying a bill, let's say for the glass, for the steel, for the electricals, or for the interior of it, naturally it comes with a bill. So against that you can offset it. So it may not be beneficial entirely, but then from that 18%, at least some portion gets offset because your GST is paid on the entire building of the house, right? Or the apartment, whichever it is. So these individual things that I still need to discuss with the CA for your purpose, for everybody's purpose. For me, it is pretty clear because I'm making a single standalone house. But for others who buy apartments and pay in cash, so they will have to make a individual sheet to say that how much optimum is the amount that they should be claiming the tax against, the capital gains against. It is pretty simple. What is important here is that debt funds are not involved in this. The international debt funds are not involved in this. FOFs are not involved in this. And raw gold like bullion or jewelry is not included in this to offset the capital gains against the buying, purchase, or construction of the residential property. This, I believe you did get the link which I shared, isn't it? So you can read a little more. It's a little basic, but yes, it is in the favor of the taxpayer. It can genuinely help a genuine taxpayer to offset some of his capital gains because uh, in your case it may not be so much disturbing because you can always make the payments from your tax-free income, right? But then suppose tomorrow you go and you become a resident, and then you have to pay your capital gains also, and you have to pay your GST also. So if you add it up, it comes to more than 35, 33%. So in this particular case, it becomes a little unfair because you're paying your income tax in any way.
Yes.
So this GST on the properties was not correct actually on the government, but they have brought in and they're justifying it. It wasn't there earlier. Something also that I wanted to ask most of you was that still now we are adding about 4 to 5 people every week on the group, and everybody starts to ask the same thing that I need to start investing and how do I go about it, and they ask about which app to check and whether they can simply do by going to the joint platform of CAMS and KFinTech or from the Amphi, MF Central, or MF Utility. So the questions which come, or sometimes they ask about the individual aggregators like Indie Money and all that. So a lot of people they ask about these questions. They are new and they may be juniors, they may not be juniors. So it is my request that you can also handle these queries in the group and you can tell them that this is not the way. It is not only that it is illegal or not illegal, it is simply that it cannot be done. As per the requirements of the AMFI or SEBI, KYC is very important. You cannot escape KYC. And as well, which means that you will have to go either to the AMC office or CAMS office or KFinTech office or to the distributor, MF distributor, which you can call agent, but it's called MF distributor. He will carry out the KYC at the same time. People are wasting time by going once for the KYC and then again going for investment purpose. So that waste the time. At the same time, when they go first time, if they go to a AMC office, any AMC, doesn't matter whether they wish to invest in that AMC for a long period or not, you tell them when they ask on the group or they ask you personally that you first go to any AMC office near your home or find a distributor near your home, and out of these funds, let's agree on a set of funds, and out of these funds, you tell him, the distributor, to invest in this. The investment application is first, and simultaneously, the process of KYC is started. So please help me out with this because I am getting a bit busy nowadays, and it's difficult to repeat the same thing again. I try to do it, but in a very polite way. You can also do the same. All of you here can do the same thing and help me out in general with this. I think that can be done. Can help me with this, right? So because somehow in the beginning itself, if a person is taking so much time, he becomes a little disillusioned. He becomes a little confused also that the beginning itself is so difficult. What will happen later on? So they get misguided, and they find it very easy then to open a account with any aggregator, and then it's a long trap. We have seen people have asked about in the money, and all that we started off, and now with companies grow and for Zerodha venturing into the mutual fund uh, scenario, it becomes very easy for them to exploit the investors. So please understand and help them out in the instance only. Don't try to give them any other extra information apart from that. What we have agreed in principle that this is how we should start investing. Market nowadays, you know where it is, but in my personal opinion, it has not really gone anywhere except for individual. If you start taking the indices, so then next Nifty and mid cap are the ones which have fallen the maximum. If you already are investing in mid cap and next Nifty indices or the funds related to those indices, then you can invest a bit more. Otherwise, continue to do in the same funds that you already have. This is hardly any change in the uh, market, I would say. 6-7% or 8% is hardly a change. You must have already, because it has lasted for over 1.5 months. So your 1.5 months SIP itself could have made sufficient difference. And if you still have your money with you, you can always invest it. You utilize this opportunity, and also keep an eye on the Nifty 500 and Nifty Total Market Index and the funds related to it. If you have them, well and good. If not, you can start investing in one of those. Nifty 500 and Nifty Total Market Index are more or less, they move in parallel because it's only a matter of 200 extra micro cap funds which are there. And though individually the micro cap funds, they perform excellently over 3 to 5 years, they have in the past. But on the total market index from 500 to the 750 stocks, it doesn't really make that much of a difference when your big money is involved. We have already seen that in the flexi cap category, how Parag Parikh has performed. So that should also be accounted for. That also should be taken into your accounts that it has arrested the fall very well. When most of the others have fallen about 8.3 to 8.7%, and maximum has fallen about 10.9%, this fellow has managed to do it between 3.5. And I believe it will continue to do so because it has been very defensive in the times of this particular bull run because they knew. And Rajiv Thakkar was always saying that I am happy with underperformance in this market because if we are headed for a bigger time, the returns will come. It's very sad that the government has not reviewed the investment into the foreign markets yet. So they are also tied up. Parag Parikh is tied up by not buying any more stocks from the US market. There was some discussion in the past where Chief Engineer Amar had said about buying the Chinese stocks, the Hang Seng and the Chinese offshore. It was offered by a few companies, especially Edelweiss China offshore. So I don't have any view on that either. because in the absence of any particular reliable data, it is very difficult to talk about anybody else. I mean, whether we should go into that or not. Instead of that, let's stick to the US itself, in which we already have a sufficient exposure. Index funds you can always buy in those categories for US opportunities in Franklin, India, or some other. Even DSP has a good US fund, so you can buy in those. Otherwise, Parag Parikh itself will give you sufficient exposure to the US stocks directly. You may be knowing that investment in mutual fund investment into the US market takes place in two ways. One is called the fund of fund route. Fund of fund is when this particular mutual fund invests in some other funds and acts like a feeder fund into those funds which are already existing. These are obviously they are the US funds. So in this particular case, this fund of fund, like I said, the US Opportunities Fund, Franklin US Opportunities Fund, it's a feeder fund. They do not invest in the US stock market directly. Rather, they buy the uh, existing funds in the US market. Whereas funds like Parag Parikh and up to some extent, very minor extent, even ICICI through Value Discovery Fund also has the mandate to buy stocks directly. So this goes on to a different matter because they will be treated as equity funds, whereas the fund of funds come into the category of the debt funds. Nowadays, the taxation is not very much different between the two, but yes, FOF when being treated with debt fund for a short term, it comes in a different category altogether. So if you wish to continue that route, I would suggest that Parag Parikh is not bad. And at this stage, because most of you are quite old investors, so by now you must have already understood your own self and decided that what you should be oriented in: small cap, mid cap, aggressive portfolio, not so aggressive portfolio, or a conservative portfolio. So none of them is bad. Please don't think that by not being aggressive in buying the equity mandate or having a higher allocation to the equity mandate in your portfolio, you are not being an investor. You're an investor. You have your own mindset, and everybody has a different perception of risk, and he should stick with that. All what is required, more importantly, is that when these movements like these they happen, then we do not go off road. We do not start selling out. Any 5% fall and you start selling out. Yes, Devesh, please go ahead. Yes, Devesh,
Yes, sir.
you
Good
raised
evening,
hand.
sir.
Good evening.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. This question is means not from you. I just have one question, if I can ask. Interrupting between.
Please go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Sir, to make a regular income, okay, once you are try to early retirement, to make a regular income, is it better to buy a hybrid fund for a lump sum than make a SWP, or to buy a property and rent it out? Which means, okay, nobody can say means which, but which will be a better option?
Uh, if you are asking my opinion based on
Yes,
my life, what I have seen around me,
yes,
and the
yes,
experience that I have had with almost 2,500 of you, all of you,
yes.
then the hands down answer is simply equity.
Equity.
Yes. And there are reasons for that. There are
Yes,
mathematical reasons, there are quantitative reasons, and there are qualitative reasons as well. I will first give you the quantitative reason. The quantitative reason being that what is the growth in those properties? When we come to the real estate market and we talk about buying it and we say that they will appreciate, but we are always talking about focused on the rent. So where does the appreciation really take place? Because your rent will definitely not grow in comparison or in relation to the increased value of your property. In fact, it will
okay,
be the other way around. Suppose you have bought a property, a shop for 1 crore, and rented it out, and out of this you're getting about, let's say, 6 to 9 lakh. Let's say about 9 lakhs. That's the max you can get in a particular year.
Yes,
So
yes.
maximum capital, maximum rental yield is today 9% in India on commercial. On residential, it is 2.2.
Residential
Now,
too.
so now suppose your property grows up and it becomes from 1 CR, it becomes to 3 CR, but your rent is still at that particular one, or it has grown by 5% every year. So your yield actually is coming down because now you have to calculate the yield on your percepted value of 2 crores or 3 crores. So this is the quantitative portion. Second thing is, like, if you take equity into consideration, yes, I agree, equity may not grow at 15% every year. Some year it may grow at 6%, some year it may grow at minus 3% also, minus 5% also. But when you will consider a period of 5 to 10 years, it will give you minimum the return equal to your inflation plus your GDP growth. That will be close to 15%. Because since 1986, the Sensex has shown that it is doubling up every 4.5 years. Sensex is growing up, not your individual stocks or portfolio. They grow much more. And on the practical sense, we have seen that any fund which has existed till date from 1995, it has grown at the rate of about 22% every year. That's how it happens. If you will see the chart in value research, by going to the regular fund, it will show 22 to 23. So that means every year it has grown by 20 to 23%. That fund may not be showing very great return in the last 3 years. So that makes a bias. So now that thing is already there, right? This is the quantitative portion, that it will grow, it will compound. And from here, you can decide, because we are not talking about one fund, we are talking about your whole portfolio, which will have about 6 to 10 funds or maybe 12 funds also. And the total value may be, let's call it for theoretical purpose, the same as your real estate. Let's call it 5 crore. That your real estate has 5 crore and it is giving you a return of whatever, 45 lakhs or whatever it is. Now that 45 lakhs, if at 9% we are calculating, then 45 lakhs is your income. Now it is going to be taxed at your maximum level, right?
Yes.
And we're not saying that it is going at 5%, it is going at 5% also, but your taxes, you're in the category of tax, income tax payment, tax on your income generation. You're not paying your capital gains in this particular case. Yes, there is a offsetting of 1.5 lakh because of the various things, but nowadays with the new regime, it may be wiped out also. Now the qualitative part of it. The qualitative part of it is that will your property continue to be the same for indefinite period? Will you not have to get it emptied after some time? Will you not have to carry out any maintenance for it? Will you not have to get it painted or renovated? Because the same type of thing cannot exist for 20 years. You have seen how the shops have changed after 3 to 5 years, how things have changed. Even a small tea shop today is called a cafe. What used to be called tea shop before is called cafe. So like that, real estate has been known to provide people with a rental property as income, with a rental income as against the property for the livelihood. But that category of people was different. Their property came free to them. Either it was ancestral or they bought it very cheap. है ना, दादा परदादा की थी, वहां से आती थी, उसके भी आपने देखा हुआ है कि रेट्स कितने कम होते थे. इतनी बड़ी हवेली लोगों ने किराए में दी हुई है, 2,000 रुपए टैक्स आता था. I have 2 friends in India. One is my batchmate, whom I met last week also, and another is a very senior master, his senior seafarer, about 9 years senior to me, and he had to leave his career just after he became a master because his property in one of the premium locations in Delhi was not being vacated by his tenant, right?
Tenants.
And the cost of that property today is close to 180 crores. So when he left, it must have been 10, 15 crores, let's call it. Now he had to almost abandon his career for this property, which was ancestral, purchased by his father. And in fact, the tenant had sued his father or something. So he had to give up his career and start fighting. And the property is still in dispute, not from the tenant part, but his own brothers, sisters, and all those things. So the rental income, let's go back to the rental income, that this rental income used to be okay for those people. For our category, when you are buying things on your own, and this particular land you have not purchased, this property you have not purchased in the olden times when you got it very cheap.
cheap.
Still, where I'm sitting here, I bought this for a very meager sum by today's standards. By those standards, also in 2004, if my salary was about $5,000 as a chief engineer, and that rupees about 30, 32 rupees. So you see, it was barely anything. It was about less than 2 lakhs a month. And at that time, I bought this property for about 17 lakhs. And I didn't buy one. I booked five other properties for other merchant navy, my friends from DMAT. So, and all of them are occupied. But I can say that today that I bought it cheaper, and even if I sell today, it is not equal to equity, but I can still manage to get some money out of it. The rental will be good enough. The rental will be good enough. But how much is that good enough? That good enough portion today, can you calculate on a value of, let's say, 2.5 crores? How much is 30,000? 3,60,000.
Okay.
So that's I think not more than 2%, right?
2%. Yes, sir. On
है
residential, you
ना?
won't get
तो
more than this.
तो ये
So
इतना
with
है,
that,
ये भी तो ये इतना इतना बैठता है. अभी आप उसमें फिर कैलकुलेट कर लो कि कहाँ पे हम मतलब व्हाट कैन वी
but sir,
क्लेम.
one more thing, like equity, we have liquid money. It's always available in case of emergency, anything XYZ.
Obviously, yes.
And property, if you stuck for some time ages to sell it, if you don't have a proper buyer, otherwise you
Yeah.
have to sell it at whatever price they.
So,
Those are
it
also
is always there. It is always
yeah.
there. You should be lucky, very lucky, to have this property in a location where it will grow properly. It will grow well.
Proper. Well,
You have to be very very lucky about that. But it doesn't really happen all the time. ऐसा
all the
होता
time.
है
Correct.
नहीं. और
होता नहीं.
there's a gentleman here on the group right now. Voluntarily, he may tell you also that he sold his property after about 7 years, and at the same price which he bought it for, and in
Sir,
one
same
of the
thing happened
prime
with me
locations
also.
in. Hmm,
In Saharanpur, one complex was there. I bought for 50 lakh and I sold for 64 lakh after 9 years.
yeah. So
Nothing,
similar was this case with my
nothing.
friend also, and so yeah, hota hai. It's not nothing.
Okay.
I'll give you my example. See, I am not bragging about things, but I do take financial decisions without any emotional constraint. I don't bring my emotions when I take a financial decision. So there was this property which I bought when I was a third engineer with that salary. I didn't want to buy it. My father wanted to buy it because it was close to where he started his career as a doctor. So I bought it. I bought it for some 55,000 rupees. And then some tragedy happened in the family, and I got a little nervous. So I wanted to sell off any excess property which was beyond my physical range to control. Means I could not visit it every day. So I sold it for close to 2.7 CR.
Oh,
And I had myself found a buyer and had agreed with him for at least 50-50. He was saying 30-70, but I said, no, I want at least 50 in white. So at
right.
least 50 was white, and I was really hoping that this money can really sustain me if I give up shipping, because the very next year I gave up sailing. Yesterday was my anniversary of getting down from the ship. It's been 10
Oh,
years. So now I did it. But in my absence, my tax professional, he uh, did some understanding with him, and he took entire money in cash.
oh,
And now I'm lost. You know,
oh,
when I came down, everything was done, and thing was it. But he said, "Doesn't matter. You don't worry, and we will buy this land, and that land." And a whole big chunk of land was bought. I mean, it's a joint kind of a thing by 4-5 people of us. I didn't have a choice because I was on board.
yeah,
And you normally trust people. You say they
yeah,
will do what you want them to do. No, now, and when it is a joint property which you buy from somebody, from some family, then the family owns that property, but nobody knows which is whose property. You
property.
understand? Suppose this is a 100 acre plot, and there are six brothers, and you bought the whole property, and they all signed also. All six brothers have signed it. Wonderful. But how do you know which portion belongs to whom?
Hmm.
That friend has just
Correct.
left the group who sold his property for the same price. Anyway, so now you don't know. So that was the issues that was happening. Then my CA, he passed away during the COVID.
Oh,
He owned the very, what do you call, the tax firm which Manoj Devgan is a part of. So now I was left high and dry. I mean, I really don't know what to do.
okay.
After that, we found a buyer who could buy this entire property. So
Property.
again, I landed up with the money and the cash, and which partly converted to white, which actually didn't have much of value.
Maybe.
Then we again bought another property. So it's been almost 9 years since we sold that. No, 10 years completely since we sold that land,
Yeah.
and I still haven't got the entire money in my hand.
When then?
Whereas
Oh,
I did buy a property close to my earlier house where we stay, and I sold it in absolute white. I paid
right.
84 lakhs as capital gains. I invested the remaining money in the COVID before May 2020, and it has grown.
Mm,
So finally, it has to grow here. Now, if you can imagine that if I had this 55,000 rupees in 95 and I had invested in HDFC Equity and Reliance Growth that time, which
uh,
were the funds which came out, and I knew about the funds. It was not that the knowledge was not there. I
mm,
can't even imagine the value must have been at least three to 5 times of what I would have
what you got?
got. I got to the real estate, which I didn't get actually.
Actually,
So
yes,
all these things are there. Basically, we are here on this group together with the same motive of
yes.
getting a good money when we want. We want
Oh,
some good lump sum when our children go to college.
college.
If they are in India, it will not make so much of a difference, even though you will have to shell out 20, 30 lakhs that time.
Mm,
We want this money when our children get married. We need this money then to continue in a retirement to do things that we want. See, when you will
want
decide to retire, you will not just sit in the house and say, I am retired. No, you will have to continue to do things. When you do
also.
things, then you will spend money also.
Also.
So your expenses will go up. So
Go.
this is only
Yes.
possible with equity. And
Equity.
there is
Yes,
a
sir.
reason why equity, because equity means companies. You are
Yes.
investing with a bunch of companies, and the companies are growing in
Eventually,
business,
they will grow.
and
Yes.
they grow in business because of the inflation.
Okay.
So if the inflation is high, it should not be absolutely runaway inflation, but if the inflation is in this 4 to 6% range and grows, your returns will grow accordingly.
Accordingly.
Like I have given so many examples in the past also, that we have all these companies, they are growing, that's why it is growing. That is why our mutual funds are growing. How has
Growing.
Nippon Growth come up from rupees 10 to 4,400 rupees now in a
Oh,
matter of 30 years? How has it grown?
yeah.
It has come because every company which they invested in has grown.
Grown. Yes, sir.
You get the point. So, and which are these companies? These are the same companies which you are using from morning to evening. Morning you get
Evening.
up, you buy their toothpaste, you buy their shaving cream, you use their tea, you buy their cigarettes, you buy their car, you go out, you buy their petrol. So all these companies, they have grown
Ah,
because you have stock.
in
You have started
we are buying their products.
investing in buying. Yes. So if
Yes.
the people tomorrow decide to start moving on a cycle, everything will crash.
Fresh.
Nothing will
Yes,
grow.
sir. Yes.
Because the healthcare companies will not be requiring anybody. I mean, nobody will require their medicine. Nobody will require the hospital. So this
Yes.
is in my personal view, it is a wrong system that we are having. But if we are having that system, let's make the best of it.
Best of it. Yes, sir.
हम तो
Correct.
नहीं कर सकते ना कि भाई हम तो कल से ये भी इस्तेमाल नहीं करेंगे चीजें, ये भी नहीं करेंगे, ये भी नहीं करेंगे. इस दुनिया
ऐसा
में
तो
आए
होता
हैं
ही
तो
नहीं.
इन चीजों को यूज करना पड़ेगा. तो
करना
यूज
पड़ेगा.
करेंगे तो ये बढ़ेगी तो इसमें हमें रिटर्न आएगा. I'll give you a very
Fine.
simple, a very good example. Suppose somebody is detected with diabetes tomorrow, right?
Yes.
And he has to start taking the tablet for diabetes, right?
Diabetic.
So now he is a consumer for diabetes,
Yes, sir.
right? But if he comes to know the company which is producing that medicine and he buys that the
It's
stock of that company,
company.
so he is actually growing at the misery of other people. दूसरों के दुख से उसको फायदा हो रहा है. But at least he himself is paying for it. Or let's take the case of insulin.
Hmm.
If suppose you start, somebody unfortunately starts using insulin, like my wife started doing it. So now that company which is producing insulin, you are buying it, correct?
Hmm.
I am buying that
Yes.
product. Now, if I invest
Product.
in
Yes.
that, I am also part of this thing. So I will grow when the company grows.
company. I'm
Right.
giving the growth to the company also, and I'm also the
Correct.
beneficiary
Yes.
also.
So we should always think of it from the basics, from the first principles. I always insist on the word first principle. When we start reading calculus, before differential calculus, we derive the first formula by the first principle, if you remember. So
Yes.
everything we should start from there, first principle.
Principle.
Nowadays, why is the market falling? Because the inflation is there.
Yes.
Because the companies are having bad results. Why is the
Results.
company
Yes.
having bad results? Because people don't have dispensable income. People have lost their
Income.
jobs. Because the unemployment is growing for no other reason.
Yes.
A large number of companies they benefited because the people in the गांव में देहात में वो लोग चीजें खरीदते थे उसकी वजह से इंडिया because it lies in the villages it used to grow. People
Grow.
used to
Yes.
buy tractors every year, every
Every year.
season. Then they used to buy Hero motorcycle every year. Then Coca-Cola also became very common there. And on the highway, you started having these Pizza Huts and all these
Yes.
companies. And so people were exposed to all this. जो लोग पहले सिर्फ कुछ स्नैक्स गांव में नहीं होते थे now they are
होते
exposed to
थे.
a bigger portion
Yeah.
of the
Bigger market.
economy and you have the same approach to the same advertisements as they have. You have
Yes.
same information with you as they have. कोई फर्क नहीं है.
Nowadays. नहीं अब नहीं है.
तो उनके ऊपर सब पूरा इंडिया डिपेंड करता था. So when people were dependent on the Indians were dependent on the rural growth, the things used to happen very fast. It used to grow after monsoon. Because after
Yes.
monsoon, the money used to come in from the खरीफ season. खरीफ जो क्रॉप होता था उससे पैसा आता था तो उससे वो लोग काम चलाते थे. You see the similarity between you and them. हमारे में
Yes.
और उनमें वो सिमिलैरिटी इसी तरह की उनका भी पैसा एक साथ आता है. उनको भी वो पैसा एक साथ लास्ट कराना होता है.
Yes.
और उसी में से because everything has to be bought, the TVs have to be bought, the motorcycle have to be bought. They also have to buy. In villages also they have two TVs and in the houses today. The people who are farmers, they also have two TVs. They have three TVs also. They have two motorcycles, one tractor, two tractors. So the economy was dependent on that. And suddenly, if they try to, if the government by its short-sightedness tries to affect any particular area of that segment, then it will disbalance everything. Because अब it is something like India was traveling on foot before. So foot पर जब आदमी चलता है उसके गिरने के chances बहुत कम होते हैं. Right? Then you give a cycle to this person. So he tries to ride this cycle, but उसको साइकिल चलानी आती नहीं है. तो धीरे धीरे करके चलाता है, लड़खड़ाता है, ऐसे करता है और वो साइकिल चलाना सीख जाता है. और साइकिल चलाते चलाते उसकी स्पीड आती है 20 kmph. इससे ज्यादा की स्पीड 18 to 20 से ज्यादा की स्पीड नॉर्मली नहीं चलाता है कोई. तो उस स्पीड से इंडिया चल रहा था. फिर 91 में क्या हुआ कि हमको मिल गई मोटरसाइकिल. तो नाउ हमको साइकिल चलानी आती थी तो माइग्रेशन टू मोटरसाइकिल वाज इजी बिकॉज वी ओनली हैड टू लर्न हाउ टू बैलेंस. तो हमने उसको बैलेंस सीख लिया और हम चलने लगे. बट अभी क्या था कि पॉट होल्स थे. गांव में तो साइकिल चल जाती थी लेकिन मोटरसाइकिल क्योंकि स्पीड से चल रही थी तो पॉट होल्स जो थे इकोनॉमी में उसकी वजह से वो ढक ढक करके चल रही थी. सो नाउ इन द पास्ट 10 years those potholes are being removed slowly, the rules are being reformatted, laws are being changed and things are happening. टैक्स कंप्लायंस बढ़ गया है. दिस इज अ बिग, मतलब आप ये समझिए जैसे सड़क के ऊपर में कोल टार डाल देते हैं, उसके गड्ढे भर देते हैं. तो ये टैक्स कंप्लायंस का इफेक्ट वैसा ही हुआ है. तो अब आपके पास में मोटरसाइकिल आप उसमें चल रहे हैं. एंड नाउ वी आर ऑन दैट लेवल वेयर वी आर actually trying to move from two-wheeler to a three-wheeler economy. We are still not on a four-wheeler economy. Now we are moving from three-wheeler to a four-wheeler economy. And obviously ये फोर व्हीलर बाद में जो है आपका एम्बेसडर होगा, फिर बाद में ये लंबोर्गिनी बनेगा, बाद में रोल्स रॉयस बनेगा, वगैरह वगैरह बनेगा. So the point is that when we invest in equity, we are participants in the growth of the country, in the growth of the economy of a country, अपनी कंट्री का, है ना. और अब ये होता है कि भाई कभी कभी हमारा कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है इधर, तो ठीक है, हम कहते हैं हम दूसरी कंट्रीज की भी इकोनॉमी में पार्टनर बन जाते हैं बाय इन्वेस्टिंग इन यूएस or other countries as things will happen. So this group actually teaches us, I mean, we learn from each other only how to do the basic things of learning to invest and investing properly, systematically, in a disciplined way. And rest of the things which happen, they will keep happening. वो अपना हमारे हाथ में नहीं है. बस
नहीं,
ये है कि इतने साल के एक्सपीरियंस पर 30 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस हमारा इंडिया का है और मोर और लेस 65 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस हमारा यूएस का है। इसके बेसिस में हम ये तो कह सकते हैं कि इक्विटी से बेटर रिटर्न कोई चीज
कोई
नहीं
नहीं
देगी,
दे सकता।
विच इज अ वेरी डिटेल्ड रिप्लाई टू योर क्वेरी।
या
ठीक है
थैंक यू
ना।
वेरी मच,
अब आप
वेल
उसमें
क्लियर।
आप देखिए फंड जो है वो आप हाइब्रिड खरीदें, प्योर इक्विटी और डेट अलग अलग खरीदें, दैट इज अप टू यू। Personally, because I know the working of these mutual funds,
Yes,
I am not very much in favor of the hybrid funds.
hybrid. Okay, sir. So, sir, how to go about in case if somebody wants to, like
बस
you
यही
are
तो
saying some.
जो हम करते हैं कि आप जो है फर्स्ट कीप इन्वेस्टिंग इन इक्विटी एज मच एज पॉसिबल,
Possible.
कीप 60 to 75 lakhs in your NRE FDs at a higher level। जब आप 5-10 साल मास्टर चीफ इंजीनियर बन गए हैं तो कीप इन योर एफडी ऑल्सो, पीपीएफ भी वाइफ के नाम से होना चाहिए और यू कैन हैव इट इन अदर फॉर्मेट्स ऑल्सो। एज यू become closer to your retirement, try to have lesser of the FDs because now the FDs will become taxable when you become an Indian resident. So at
Resident,
that
yes,
time
sir.
your this will become, so that you will transfer this partly to debt funds और कीप द एसेट एलोकेशन जो है वो फिक्स रहना चाहिए कि अगर मैंने डिसाइड किया है कि 70% इक्विटी में होगा, 30% फिक्स इनकम में होगा तो वो मेंटेन करिए।
हाँ जी,
अब सपोज आप जो है अगले महीने रिटायर हो जाते हैं, टेक द हाइपोथेटिकल केस दैट यू वांट टू रिटायर ऑन 31st of December, तो 31st of December इस साल का जो मैं फिगर मेरा निकलेगा वो विल बी क्लोज टू 5.38 और 5.5 करोड़ के बीच में निकलेगा कि एक 50 ईयर ओल्ड अगर रिटायर होता है तो उसको इतना चाहिए। तो उसमें से आप देखो कि 5.38 में से सपोज आपने कहा है कि आई शुड हैव 75% इन इक्विटी, तो उतना परसेंटेज आप उतना हो जाना चाहिए, प्लस माइनस, ऐसा नहीं 75 ही होगा, कैन बी 74.5, कैन बी 76 ऑल्सो, बट मोर और लेस। बाकी आपका डेट फंड में आ गया। अब आज आप रिटायर हो गए, अगले महीने का खर्च आपको कराना है, जैसे आपका प्रॉपर्टी से रिटर्न आ रहा था, तो आप कैसे करेंगे? आस्क योर वाइफ हाउ मच इज आवर एनुअल मंथली एक्सपेंस, वो कहेंगी भाई 1.5 लाख है, तो आप मान के चलो कि 2 लाख है, ठीक है ना। किसी अपने अपने पोर्टफोलियो को देखो, जिसका सबसे वर्स्ट परफॉर्मिंग रहा है पिछले 3 साल में, उसमें से आप 2 लाख रुपए निकाल के अपने अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर कर लेना, जॉइंट अकाउंट में वाइफ के, क्योंकि तब आपका रेजिडेंट अकाउंट हो जाएगा, नॉट इमीडिएटली बट 1 ईयर के बाद, तो वाइफ के अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए, वहां से खर्च चल जाएगा। इन बिटवीन यू फाइंड दैट द मार्केट हैज मूव्ड अप सडनली 5-6% ऊपर चला गया, ठीक है, अगले महीने का फरवरी का भी निकाल के अभी डाल लो, नो प्रॉब्लम, है ना। और थोड़ा सा लगता है कि यार मार्च में थोड़ा सा बिकम लिटिल बेटर, विल गो फॉर हॉलिडे, तो मार्च का भी निकाल के डाल लो, तो आपके पास 3 महीने का एक कॉर्पस आ गया, अब आप हैप्पी हो, वो अपना ग्रो कर रहा है। पता लगा मार्च तक जब तक आपने ये पैसा कंज्यूम किया, आपको जो बाकी पोर्शन था 5 पॉइंट whatever crores का 75% था, दैट इटसेल्फ हैज ग्रोन बाय 3%।
3%।
अब 5 करोड़ का मतलब 3.5 करोड़ का आप जो है निकाल लीजिए, 3% कितना होता है, तो दिस इज नाउ, हाँ, तो टू शो दिस टू यू इन अ लिटिल डिफरेंट वे, इट इज लाइक दैट प्रोवर्बियल सोने की मुर्गी जो हमको बताई गई थी। तो आप जो बना रहे हैं अभी एक मुर्गी को तैयार कर रहे हैं, वो उस मुर्गी सोने की होनी चाहिए, और ये मुर्गी जो है आपको हर महीने एक अंडा देगी, जिसे आप SWP कहें चाहे आप मैनुअल विड्रॉ करें, वो एक सोने का अंडा देगी। आपका मन है एक अंडा और निकाल लो, कोई बात नहीं, हमारे पास तरीके हैं। मुर्गी से कहा कि भाई 2 अंडे दे दो, तो 2 अंडे दे दिए कि भाई अगले महीने नहीं लेंगे हम, तो हो गया ना, बस ऐसे चलेगा। पर अभी ये मत सोचना कि कभी की मुर्गी भी खानी है ना, तो अंडे पर ही कंसंट्रेट करना है और वी विल नॉट हैव टू वरी अबाउट। तो दिस इज व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इन रॉ लैंग्वेज, in a very crude language, this is what we are actually aiming for. Before your retirement, try to take care of all your responsibilities, all your liabilities, जितने भी होते हैं, लोन्स खत्म हो जाने चाहिए, बच्चे भी मोर और लेस सेटल हो जाने ही चाहिए। बिकॉज जब मैंने अपनी फैमिली को बताया था और ये नवंबर में तो मैं शिफ्ट छोड़ के आ गया था, बट आई टोल्ड देम इन मंथ ऑफ सितंबर आई सेड आई एम क्विटिंग। तो सबसे पहले माय डॉटर आस्क्ड मी, तो पापा क्या काम वाम करना पड़ेगा, मतलब उसको काम करना पड़ेगा, मुझे नहीं। तो मैंने कहा नहीं, चलो तुम अपने हिसाब से कर लेना, हम भी अपना काम चला ही लेंगे। तो इतना हमारे पास बफर होना चाहिए। आज आपके लिए ये 5 CR जो मैंने बोली है फिगर बड़ी अजीब सी लग रही है। मैं कुछ समय पहले 3.8 CR बोलता था, 7-8 साल पहले तो वो भी बड़ी लगती थी लोगों को, बट आई एम मूविंग दिस फिगर इन कंपैरिजन विद द एग्जिस्टिंग लाइफस्टाइल इन्फ्लेशन। मैं इन्फ्लेशन को भी कंसिडर नहीं करता हूं, मैं लाइफस्टाइल इन्फ्लेशन की बात करता हूं। मेरी जो ये फिगर बेस्ड होती है ये खाली अखबार से बेस्ड नहीं होती। I take into consideration the latest pension levels of the senior most IAS officer जो रिटायर होगा, सीनियर मोस्ट बैंक मैनेजर जो होगा, चीफ बैंक मैनेजर रिटायर होगा, तो उसको कितना मिलेगा, कितनी उसकी पेंशन होगी, उस लेवल में आई ट्राई टू कैलकुलेट एंड विद एक्सपेंसेस आई टेक मैक्सिमम एक्सपेंसेस। वो जो कैलकुलेशन शीट मिलेगी आपको इस ग्रुप के फाइल सेक्शन में, एक है फाइनेंशियल कैलकुलेशन, तो उसमें आप देखना, इट इज वेरी elaborately drawn out. So this figure is arrived by taking input from a lot of people. It has taken me a lot of time to come to this figure. और I keep asking these people कि अभी क्या है, आपकी पेंशन कितनी है, ये है, और वो बता भी देते हैं मुझे, वरना कोई बताता नहीं है, बट लोग बता देते हैं। तो I calculate by that because I assume कि जब हम इतने साल समुद्र में बिता लेते हैं, हमारा लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड किसी से भी इंडिया में तो कम नहीं होना चाहिए। We should have one house in the best possible location. We should have a good car which we can change every 5 to 7 years. We should be able to go where we want, by whichever airlines we want, stay in whichever hotel we want. अब देखो अनलिमिटेड तो नहीं हो सकता है, but we try to manage in a hotel of about 8 to 10,000 मैक्सिमम होटल भी हो जाए, तो वो चलता है, इतना होना चाहिए।
Yes sir,
because we work so hard at sea basically to live a good life full of dignity and self esteem. अब जहाज में रहे तो यार ठीक है, हमने कुछ नहीं, वो बॉल सूट पहन के काम चला लिया, जीन्स टी शर्ट पहन के काम चला लिया, बट एक टाइम आता है यहाँ पर आकर यू विल नीड मच मोर थिंग्स फॉर योरसेल्फ देन व्हाट यू डिड एट ऑन बोर्ड, एंड योर एक्सपेंसेस विल गो अप एंड दे शुड गो अप। ठीक है ना, तो ये वाली कहानी हो गई हमारी।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
विघ्नेश कंदन हैज लेफ्ट हिज कॉल, है ना। Anything else? There are 2-3 new people who didn't come before. कुछ आप लोगों के questions हैं? Actually बीच में आते हैं तो थोड़ा सा वो out of context लग जाता है, but I think if the recording is there, then it should be all right. Manish, are you recording this one?
Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, I am recording.
Thank you so much. So ये जो मैंने आज मैंने 3 बातें जो कही हैं, ये बिल्कुल फंडामेंटल लेवल से बात की है, और जो लॉज होते हैं, जो कैलकुलेशंस होते हैं, वो अलग हैं। आई मीन इन केस ऑफ दैट लॉ विच यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट द विल, और दिस पर्टिकुलर लॉ वी टॉक्ड अबाउट विच प्रोवाइड्स अस टू ऑफसेट द कैपिटल गेन्स अगेंस्ट द जीएसटी, अगेंस्ट द कैपिटल एसेट दैट वी बाय और बिल्ड, इसके साथ में। और ये जो हमने तीसरी बात की है अबाउट क्रिएटिंग अ रेगुलर इनकम स्ट्रीम, इट इज पॉसिबल, एंड बाय फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स इट इज पॉसिबल। कुछ ज्यादा तमाशा करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आराम से होता है। मिनिमम 35% आप इन्वेस्ट करते रहिए, कोशिश कीजिए इतना हो, एज लॉन्ग एज यू अर्न। और जितना हमने मेरा भी प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस जो आप लोगों के साथ में इंटरेक्ट करने का है, उससे ये मालूम पड़ा है कि इवन इफ यू हैव नॉट डन एनीथिंग, नो इन्वेस्टमेंट एनी गिवन टाइम, एंड यू आर स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द स्टेज ऑफ चीफ ऑफिसर और सेकंड इंजीनियर ऑनवर्ड्स, it will take you maximum 7 to 8 years to achieve this. Out of the 7 to 8 years, let's call it 4 years as a second engineer or chief officer and remaining as a master. इस 7 से 8 साल में आप आराम के साथ में अपना रिटायरमेंट कॉर्पस तैयार कर लेंगे। पहले कर लेते शुरू तो बहुत अच्छी बात थी, ज्यादा वैल्यू हो जाती, आदत भी पड़ जाती। मैथमेटिकली आपका कॉर्पस इतने टाइम में तैयार हो जाएगा 100% विदाउट गोइंग टू एनी हाई-फाई एडवाइजर, पेइंग हाई-फाई फीस, ये आप मैनेज कर सकते हैं। जस्ट इन्वेस्ट मिनिमम 35% ऑफ योर एनुअल एंड स्प्लिट अराउंड द ईयर एंड इंक्रीज इट व्हेन यू कैन, मेक बल्क परचेजेस व्हेन यू कैन, डोंट बी अफ्रेड व्हेन द मार्केट ड्रॉप्स लाइक इट इज ड्रॉपिंग नाउअडेज। घबराना नहीं है, इसमें भी डालिए और इट विल हैपन। उसमें मैथमेटिकल में कैलकुलेशन में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। प्रॉब्लम होता है सब्जेक्टिविटी में। किसी ने कुछ कहा, आपने ट्रैक बदल दिया, मैंने कुछ कहा, आपने किसी से डिस्कस किया, आज हमारी वेबिनार थी उसमें यह था, उसने कहा बेवकूफ हो गया, 35% तो उसमें आ रहा है स्टॉक्स में, मैंने फला स्टॉक खरीदा था और वो डबल हो गया था। Yesterday, 2 days ago, only one master who's completed about 4-5 years, he said, मेरा उस रिलेटिव ने ऐसा किया, उस रिलेटिव ने ऐसा किया, उनका रिटर्न इतना है. सो नाउ इट इज ओके, वी शुड नॉट डिसअप्रूव कि ऐसा नहीं है. बट फैक्ट ये है कि लोग झूठ बोलते हैं, लोग गलत बोलते हैं. अगर आपको रिटर्न प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं, उसमें उसका कमीशन नहीं दिखाते, उसके एक्सपेंसेस नहीं दिखाते, और अपना हाइपर बोल करने की दुनिया में सबको आदत होती है, नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया. मैंने भी एग्जाम्पल दिया है कि अपना एक भाई साहब है सौरभ मुखर्जी, 4 बुक्स उन्होंने लिखी है, मेरे पास यहाँ पड़ी हुई है उनकी बुक्स, पढ़ने का टाइम नहीं है. तो और उनकी कंपनी है, मिनिमम उसका जो इन्वेस्टमेंट वो है वो दैट इज अबाउट 50 lakhs मिनिमम लेते हैं. पिछले साल 23-24 में गधे का भी पैसा बना है, उसने भी 30% रिटर्न निकाल लिया है. ये भाई साहब नहीं निकाल पाए. He has barely touched 10%. So we are not here to actually disapprove anybody or discredit anybody. हो सकता है कि कभी चीजें हो जाती हैं. मेरा पॉइंट सिर्फ ये है कि we should do what we know best. From the age of 17, we are taught how to run ships. We should try to excel in that. If we want to have an alternative career, we should train ourselves for that. We should upskill for that. Otherwise, जो चल रहा है आप उसे कीजिए, जो आपके काम की चीज नहीं है उसे छोड़ दीजिए. We will never be able to become as smart as these people. Yes, it is possible you will be able to find 1 or 2 stocks which will outperform, which may become multi-bagger, but that does not mean that that particular amount of money will last you for an appreciable amount of time. We need bulk money which can last us for appreciable amount of time. That amount of time which you cannot foresee when you will retire. So that is why I say that this money should last you forever and ever. कभी खत्म नहीं होना चाहिए. So this is my suggestion. आराम से हो जाएगा, कुछ मत कीजिए. Just follow what we have been talking about on the group. What I suggest, you can have a little variation in the funds that you want to select. That will also not have too much of a bearing. A good flexi cap fund, one small cap fund, large cap, mid cap fund. ये 3 तरह के funds आपको चाहिए. If this total market cap thing hits, I think it will be a game changer. Nifty 500 index fund और total market index fund अभी मार्केट में सिर्फ 2 हैं. अगर ये चीज अपने डेटा के हिसाब से चलती है तो I don't think anybody else will ever require to have any other kind of fund. ये large cap, mid cap, small cap और सब flexi cap सब रखे रह जाएंगे, because that is giving as good returns. But data wise this has been proven. Let's see how it happens in the actual life. So that's why I say move nimble-footedly, move cautiously, and everything will be all right. For the next Sunday, this thing, I will definitely try to get a very interesting topic, and I will try to publicize this webinar a little more. You also try to do it. I have a little issue that I'm not able to share this link a very long time before, because I'm not able to get it back. Then I am sometimes moved out of the group and I have to join as a participant only. So that is why I have to send it just 10-15 minutes before. If somebody can help me with this, it will be nice, like Manish is helping with recording this. Your technical advisory is always welcome, and thank you so much. If anybody has a question, you can please ask. Otherwise, we can just call it off today, and next time we can have a little more elaborate discussion. I'll try to get some expert for the topic that we do. Is that okay? Yeah, Manish, everybody else? Nothing else?
Yeah,
Oh.
sir.
Happy, Manish.
Yeah, one new asset class has come, sir, that is between PMS and mutual fund. So, what do you think about it?
वही है. What happens is that SEBI brings out different kind of sets. Now, because, and somehow I don't find very big coherence in these. They are not very regular with their approach to the way they move, you know. A lot of things have happened with SEBI, some good, some not so good. Some things get affected because of the RBI, some things they do this way. Previously, we were paying 2.5% as the entry load when we used to buy a mutual fund. I have done it right from 99. 2.5% we used to pay over and above the expenses that were there. Then the annual expenses, and then the exit load was there, which was about 2.25 also, which now has come down to 1%. That means we were paying 5% extra those days. and still getting a return of 23-24%. You see, this was growing India that time. Then in 2007 August, the government said no front load, no entry load, khatam ho gaya. Half of the distributors were washed out. But along with that, what happened was that the growth of mutual funds came down. Then in 2013, they brought this category of direct. There was a company called Quantum, not Quant, Quantum, which was already in the business that it never used to do any distributor based selling. It used to do the direct selling to people, and they had an exit load of 4% that time. And it was applicable for 3 years, which means you could not exit the company for 3 years. This quantum company still exists. And they had a flexi cap fund that time, which was performing, but nowadays they are nowhere because everybody is with a direct plan now. So in 13 January, they said we'll come with a direct plan. Then 2018 January, they brought in the capital gains again. The government brought in the capital gains, not SEBI. 18 June, they said that these will be the categories of the mutual funds, equity, debt, and others. And this will be the definition. So you structure all your names again and come in line with these. Because of this, so much of discomfort happened to the investors. They did not know. There were such good funds like HDFC Prudence, HDFC Equity. HDFC Equity was directly a name change. It became FlexiCap. But HDFC Prudence was one of the best and finest funds of the country, just like Nippon Growth, which was Reliance Growth before. Then they tweaked the rules further. The government tweaked the rules further for mutual funds. And they brought in AIF. They changed the rules for PMS. They made it 50 lakhs instead of 10 lakhs, what it was earlier. Then they made it 25 lakhs. So like that, they keep bridging the gaps. This particular thing which you talked about, this category, is supposed to be placed between for those people who want a little more risk, but do not want to put in 50 lakhs. So whether it will prove good for the investors or not, I am not at liberty to say. But already such a category was existing in the form of AIF, where the mutual fund companies itself actually could approach you to invest in those AIF. AIF, one type of category, was actually a mutual fund without that clause of buying 10% maximum in a company. Means right now, a normal mutual fund, equity fund, cannot invest more than 10% in a particular company. In these AIF, they could invest as much as possible in any one company. So now, this category which they have brought out, whom it will serve, whether they will be able to generate equivalent amount of returns, this remains to be seen. Because when somebody does this kind of thing, this is all because of the industry lobbying. And why does the industry lobby? Because the industry is not getting sufficient money. Now you are paying in direct mode only 0.8%, or 0.8 to 1.1 is the equity max expense ratio. So now that is not the kind of money that can do something wonders to AMC. So they said, please bring in this. It was a company directed request to SEBI, and they brought in this thing. Let us see. Rules have been made out, and something may be launched in the near future. How much returns they are able to give, let us see that. Another thing that I wish to warn you is, apart from this topic, let's go off. Please be, I was thinking about this a few days ago, and you should be aware of or wary of the returns which are shown on the public platforms. These returns themselves can be fake, or they can be misconstrued, misinterpreted. They can be put in the wrong way. If you want to understand how it actually happens, you are subscribing to this Value Research Prime Investor, then in the My Portfolio section, you are able to see the total value of your portfolio on top. And in that, it says 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. Like that, it shows you. There's also custom allocation. So custom allocation, if you will select, you can get the returns from point to point. Let's say 23rd of March 2022 today, or in between. This will give you a little almost accurate calculation because I have checked it. Now, if you just change one date, instead of 3rd June, of this year, you make it 4th June, the entire return changes. So it is possible that when you see when a network, a social platform is trying to push a certain fund to you and say this is the best, it is possible that it is selecting the date to its own convenience. If you will say 3rd of November instead of 31st October, it might change the entire scenario for a 2-year return, or a 6-month return, or a 1-year return. So please be wary of that and trust one website and go with that. Because why I trust value research is because it does not have any interest in any matter. It is a very neutral thing. When it gives you data, it does not support this data. It does not push this data to take you to a particular fund or something. They are very neutral in these matters. So select any of them and stick with them. Don't try to compare data from two websites. I don't think so. They will match. Somehow they don't match. Money control never matches the ET money and all that. Don't waste your time in that either. Best way is to check in your value research that how much is the return that you have generated, how does it compare with the category, and how much does it compare with the benchmark. You can change the benchmark to your convenience also. Like suppose a flexi cap fund is benchmarked against a Nifty 100, or let's say Nifty 500 total return index. Suppose it is benchmarked against it. So for your own purpose, you can change it to see that how does it compare with a large cap index, Nifty 50 or Nifty 100. See that, because most of these people are loaded with large cap and have small amount of small cap, and it is the small cap which gives the return. So when you will compare it on your own, you can select the fund also, then you can see it. So be careful. Don't take your decisions on the performance of just 1 or 2 months or 6 months or 2 years. It should be longer than that. So that is all that I need to say. If you want to ask something, it's okay. Otherwise, we'll just break off.
So, are AIF are generating this more returns than mutual funds, or it is more or less similar?
The information that I have, they are generating less. And the reason being that the expense ratios are higher. Second reason is they are not mandated like the standard mutual funds, in which any sale purchase of the stocks are tax free. If suppose you bought all the stocks of a particular mutual fund scheme in the same ratio and sold it when the mutual fund will sell, you will have to pay
Okay.
capital gains. You will have to pay the brokerage. You will have to pay a lot of other things, which a mutual fund is exempt. A mutual fund may need to pay the brokerage to itself or its subsidiary or the dealer who is buying it, but they are not required to pay any capital gains on the sale and purchase of the stocks that they make. For the AIF category, the AIF has a lot of categories, three main categories and subcategories, like your art and everything is also in AIF. So in that, they do not have this privilege. Even the PMS does not have this privilege. In case of a PMS, all the sale purchase of the stocks, exit loads, everything, it is in your account. And apart from that, they will charge their expenses. So you can imagine that the returns cannot be as difficult or simple as they seem to be. There are a lot of nuances to it. One of my friends here who had just joined in the beginning and he has left now, and he was quoting to me the returns by that were being given by one very big brokerage firm in Gurgaon, and he told me about this about 2 to 3 years ago. And even then, I told him that this will not be sustainable. Either it is not correct or it is not sustainable. Now, when actually we've had a very good return in the past 1.5 years, now he's telling me that no, what he was quoting was not correct, and this has not generated even half the returns of the mutual funds. It is not possible. I mean, it's simply unsustainable. Why would somebody charge less buying the stocks directly when he can do more in the bigger way? Where the mutual fund companies gain is on the volume. In a mutual fund, everybody gains. You gain investing your 1 crore, I gain investing my 1 lakh. The company gains by the volume of the expense ratio. You see, having expense ratio of 0.8 on a corpus asset under management of 500 crores is different. But having the same 0.8% on a corpus of 35,000 crore, which quite a few funds have, is same. काम तो उतना ही है ना, उसको स्टॉक्स तो उतने ही रिसर्च करने हैं, परचेज भी उतने ही करने हैं, काम तो कुछ नहीं है. तो जितना उसका AUM होगा उस पर्टिकुलर स्कीम का, that will benefit the company also. That is the reason there are these AMCs are listed companies. Your SBI MF is a listed company, HDFC MF is a listed company, right? So you can see the share price. CAMS is a listed company, listed entity. So how do they earn? They earn on the basis of the expense ratio that you are giving them. You get the point?
So, sir, means in this new asset class, also means people have to pay the tax, or that will be tax exempt like mutual fund.
Oh, no. They'll have to pay tax, and they may have to pay tax because I have not gone into the details of this company. They will have to pay more. This Jayant is actually Sanjay Kumar Das, and he would be able to tell us more when it happens because most of my researches are done in conjunction with him. He's a big bull. He's got the largest ever portfolio of minimum number of stocks that I have ever seen. So we keep discussing, and he's a authority on income tax also. And we do sort out a lot of things in between us, all for your benefit. तो ये होता है जब भी होगा, पर तब तक तो आप वेट मत कीजिए. मेरा जो एक पॉइंट होता है कि 35% मिनिमम तो मैं कह रहा हूं ना, आपके पास ज्यादा है तो वेट मत करो, डालो. योर मनी शुड नॉट वेट इन द बैंक. It is not benefiting. One particular episode we will take about this banking also, that how hidden frauds are happening in these banks for over 100 years. और पता ही नहीं है किसी को कैसे होते हैं, कैसे नहीं होते हैं. They are not called frauds also. They're just functionalities, they call it, but they are very dangerous. So we will have one episode for this, and we will discuss that how they are doing it. So why they are telling you to make FDs and all that, we will talk about this. So we will see. Let this thing unfold. Don't be in a hurry to invest in any of these classes. Yes, Ankit, please go ahead. Ankit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, yes, sir. You mentioned about this rolling returns. So the thing is, value research only for subscription-based member. They are offering this.
Yes.
Not on like I was just going through. I think there is one website, good one, that is Advisor Khoj. There you can have this data. Means the rolling returns data.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look for that, and please put a small link on the group also, so we'll all be able to benefit from that. So
yes, sir, sure.
ठीक है. We will see that also. बस ये देख लेना, वो एडवाइजर खोज जो है वो मतलब it is not taking your data and doing something with that. बस वो थोड़ा सा जाना.
No, sir. They are not asking for any like PAN number or you have to register anything. It is like free. Means you can just see any fund and you can just see the data for that fund.
Yeah. Please also check out some website where we can compare different indices. Like I am very interested in comparing the Nifty 50, Nifty 500, Next Nifty, Mid Cap 150, Small 250, all these on the same screen. I want to see, so I'm not able to do it on money control. So if you can figure out something where on a line diagram, not on these वो जो bottle वाले बने होते हैं, बेकार है, समझ में नहीं आते. So try to find if there's some website which can help us compare this. This is not possible on value research also. In value research, you can compare your funds and the one or two in index funds, but it is not possible to do it with the indices themselves. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Different index if we can compare. Yeah. I'm looking for that because that helps us a lot. Basically, we need to have some data, historical data before we take a decision. Do not try to think about a new scheme that it might give good returns. उतना time नहीं अपने पास में, है ना? उतना time नहीं है. Yes, we can put something to see because unless you invest something, you cannot really concentrate. You cannot track. You don't want to track it. तो तभी होता है जब हम थोड़ा डाल देते हैं. ठीक है, 10-20 हजार 50 हजार डाल के छोड़ दिया. पर अगर वो कहेगा कि 10 लाख रुपए मेरी मिनिमम एंट्री फीस है, then it is your decision, not my decision. Then.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. ठीक है, तो next time I'll try to be a little more focused on this. अब थोड़ा मैं कर नहीं पाया था, frankly sorry about that, but there are many people wanting to get married this year and we're busy with them. So is it okay? Shall we call it a day?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye then.
Yeah.